righty. Welcome to Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus. We're in Fredericksburg, Virginia at the Geico headquarters. We have a good show for you today, and when we come back, I'll bring out my guests. But right now, listen to the crowd.
Come here and get a win in this place is a great tribute to them. They showed a lot of mental toughness today. A lot of things didn't go our way early, but the defense kept us in the game and special teams, and and it's just total team victory. I tell you, the pass rush, the coverage on defense was outstanding. Coach Minuski did a great job. Offensively, we just sputtered. We couldn't really run the ball, couldn't really protect, didn't do a lot of things, but when it counted, when they took the lead, Kirk had 2 outstanding passes, and guys made plays. So just very proud of all those guys.
Welcome to Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus. We're here at the Geico headquarters in Fredericksburg, Virginia. We're here on a happy note. The Washington Redskins won, as you know, but they played a game with a lot of players that are considered second string. They beat a Seattle team that was supposed to be one of the best in the league, but if you look at it on Sunday, they weren't. So what we want to do is talk about that. So what do? You bring in the best crew you can. Number 89, wide receiver, 2006. He was playing Jacksonville. He's from Florida. Hey, 3 touchdowns. The last one won the game. And during his career, 738 catches. You're talking about Santana Moss. As y'all see, we did the brother shake up there. Welcome to the show, man. The next man you talk about, number 26, he touched the ball. Now, when he was in Denver, I saw him, he had a championship belt on. I said, who is this young buck here? We bought him here. They handed him the ball. 64 yards later, he broke it off. I tell you what, he always was good, and he still is. Give it up. Clinton Porter. Last but not least, when he came here, he was a kick returner. But he was a man that had to start another life. He became a great wide receiver. He started another life. And one thing the defensive backs found out, when they looked back, he had passed them twice. He had 699 yards. And when he walked in the room, it gets cold because he's cool. Talking about number 84. Give it up for Gary Clark. Now, a few years ago, maybe about 17 or 18, a young man came in. His name was Darrell Green. He said, I got this reporter. He said, you ought to give her a chance to be on the show. I said, why? He said, because she's good. I said, she don't talk to me, so she can't be on the show. 18 years later, we're still listening to her rhetoric, and we listen to her sources. But she's good. It's the best. We're talking about Donna Hopkins. Now, a lot of people, when they want to research their show, they go out and get a dictionary of history books, but we got the encyclopedia. We got a guy, everything we asked him about, he tells us what it's about. Give it up, Adam Batacci. Now, when we come back, we're going to break this bad boy down, but one thing we know, the Washington Redskins won, and that's all we need to know. All you fans have to come back and give us a 5. We'll be back in a moment.
I'll have the langoustine lobster ravioli.
For you, sir?
The original call was for langoustine ravioli. Langoustine is a tiny kind of lobster. Slight shellfish allergy rules that out. Plus, my wife ordered the langoustine. I will have chicken tenders and tater tots.
If you're a ref, you way over-explain things. It's what you do. If you want to save 15% or more on car insurance, you switch to Geico.
Sir, we don't have tater tots.
It's what you do.
I will have nachos.
First of all, so proud of our defense. They kept us in the game. If they hadn't have stood up so well, playing and play out, that game could have gotten away from us. And then on offense, it was a lot of adversity. The injuries made things tough, and we felt like we just had to keep grinding. And you never know when your defense is able to keep you in the game, your special teams, that you may have an opportunity in the fourth quarter. And we found a way. It wasn't easy, but I was just proud of the resilience, the character, the grit. I think more than anything, it's great to get a win, but even if we had lost the game, on an unfortunate thing at the end, I would have said, the resiliency and the grit of this team is a reflection of the whole organization, and it's the kind of thing you can build on and do something with, not just in one season or one part of the season, but hopefully for years to come. And we want to have a reputation that when we come into a place, people say, this is a well-run organization with classy players, classy people, total pros. And you need wins like this to be able to solidify that kind of reputation.
Welcome back to the show, and as you know, we could have been sitting up here with a little attitude, but we're sitting up here pretty happy. And I tell you what, the Washington Redskins went up to Seattle and beat a team that's supposed to be pretty good, would allow their players out. Now, I hate to say this because I got Gary Clark up here, but the wide receivers made a difference. Gee, what?
It's always that way, Tom.
Oh, come on, man.
For a successful
the
team
defense,
to win.
The defense kept y'all in the game so we could really
So the
let
receivers
wide
could show off at the end of the
so they
day.
could show off. Tell me what you think about these receivers.
Well, I like to see a little bit more consistency coming on, but they had a great game. They made plays when they had to, and that's the important part. Somebody stood up and became a playmaker. Since Tanner privately consults with the Washington Redskins, no one knows that. It was supposed to be a secret, but we're going to let every people here at Geico know.
He's an insider.
Yeah, I was the insider, and they took me out, and they hired Santana. So we have Tanner now.
I wish I was getting that insider check. I mean, honestly, man, I was very impressed with the guys just making a play when we needed it. I thought all game we had a lack of offense, and it was no attempts downfield. One of the things I've been watching now in this league is that if you just attempt the ball downfield, 9 times out of 10, you might get a pass interference. These guys are scared. They don't want to be on ESPN getting bombed, so they're going to find a way to hold you, pull you, tug you. They're going to do some of that stuff in that nature. So just to see him make those attempts and give a guy like Doxson, who's been, getting so much, slack from everybody in the media, all the fans, just why he's not the guy or why haven't he done more thus far in his career. I think that, eventually he's going to be that guy, but you have to give him the chances to do that, and I'm glad they did that.
And I have to take it back. I was one of those people because I thought he was staying hurt quite a bit. But at the same time, I can think of 6 plays where they hit him with big passes, and he caught 5 of them. He really caught the 6th one, but when he hit the ground, he let it go. Speaking of going downfield, Clinton, you have to think about if their running game was a little better, they could probably go down the field a little better because they're trying to protect these new linemen now. Tell me what you think is, and see, I'm not saying that the running game just is bad since they had the injuries. It's been bad all year.
Well, I mean, it's been bad for a few years if you really want to.
When you left, after you left the game, right?
Let's
get it out there.
No, because Alfred Morris did his thing here as a running back. When you look at his running game, it really doesn't counter the passing game, and that's what makes it hard. You don't have a running game that counter off of your passing game. When you look at 3, 5, 7-step drops, you don't have any runs to go with that. When you're in the shotgun, it's only 2 or 3 runs that you can run from the shotgun position, and that's the position that we're in all the time. So a defense got to prepare to stop maybe 3 runs contingent upon where the running back is standing. And if the quarterback is standing in front of the running back, that's horrible. Like, it's hard for a running back to see at that point. So this is just a tough scheme because we're schemed up to throw the ball. This isn't a team that wants to run the ball. You run the ball just to keep them from blitzing and getting after Kirk the entire game.
So tell me this, when you're in the backfield and you're in the running position, is a lot different for you and what you see when they're in the shotgun and you to the side of the quarterback.
Well, we weren't in the shotgun much when I was here. So when we were in the shotgun, it was third down. You know, on first and second down, we came out and we tried to pound the ball down your throat, a quick screen to Tanner, or get the ball in cooler hands ASAP, you know, and let them go out and be the playmakers that they were. But when you look at this team, it's always you're trying to lead. We don't really get in and run after catch when you look at the receivers. The tight ends, Jordan Reed and Vernon Davis, is our biggest mismatch. Jordan Reed hasn't been healthy. Vernon Davis, I mean, he demolished the first quarter, and then you stop going to him. So our coaches kind of take the players out of the game plan. When you find a guy that's hot, you got to ride him. If you look at Antonio Brown, he get 15, 20 attempts a game. If he catch 10 of them, that's 200 yards. But our receivers come out. You look at Terrell Pryor, he gets a lot of negative attention, but he got 3 attempts. He dropped one went over his head. What you want him to do? He got 1 catch. So there's not much you can do with what they're giving him. You got to put the players in a better position to succeed. And until you do that, we're going to keep having receivers with 10 and 20 yards receiving.
What do you guys think on Sunday when you looked at that game? You know, I know it's a makeshift offensive line, but they're all professional. You only had one of your starters in there. Kirk was a little skittish at first. Did it seem as though as the game progressed that he got really settled in there and he played a little better as well with some of his throws and giving them enough time?
I think Kirk stood tall in the pocket, you know, knowing that you have four guys on the line, 2 of them they just signed last week. I probably would have been back there trembling, but Kirk stood tall in the pocket, and I think a lot of people give the same negativity to Kirk. Everything is Kirk problem. Kirk is always a problem, but think of the help that Kirk has around him. Someone else has to step up. Yes. Doxson has been doing it lately, but when you look at the guys around him, there is no one that you say, hey, you know what? If Kirk is having a bad day, this guy, Gary Clark or Santana Moss, going to ease the pain.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. You know, even last week's game, you know, everyone looked out there, and even when that game was over, you can see how the coach felt about it. He knew Kirk went out there and did a great job, just knowing that what they dealt with the guys missing on that line. So it's always going to be the quarterback's fault, though. We understand that, and I've been playing football for a long time, that whether we win or lose, you're going to blame the quarterback some kind of way. And he doesn't play defense, so you can't always blame him for people scoring touchdowns on you. But when I've been watching Kirk this season alone, everyone talking about the money and all this stuff, if we want to talk about that, he's been due that money, because one thing about this league is you get paid off for what you've done, and then you get paid off what you're consistently doing. He's done it consistently. So why can't he get paid? Why can't he have that contract that everyone else around this league has been getting? Regardless of who you are and how many years you played, you see guys like Brock Osweiler, they come in there and play half a good and go out there and get a big deal somewhere. So you do what you do because of what you've done, and he's been due that. But I think he's been doing a tremendous job all year, just doing with the guys he have around him. We haven't got the guys on the outside acclimated into the offense. We barely got a run game, and we find a way to win games. So you have to tip your hat off to a guy like Kirk.
Gee, do we have enough people on offense if they have to go further for a couple of weeks that we can win those games? When you come up against the Vikings, and we'll look at the Vikings first, do we have enough people? We got another offensive lineman linked. I don't know if we have any coming back anytime soon. Can we win with these individuals? And then, Clinton, I want to ask you next, running back-wise, do we have a group of running backs that can get the job done? I'm not going to mention any names, but at the same time, it's one that he puts the ball on the ground too much for me. And I said, I'm not mentioning any names, 32. But I'm going to ask you right away, Gary, do we have the right amount of people on offense we can get the job done?
I think so. I think at the end of the day, no matter how many, I'm not a big fan when people blame losses on injuries. That's everybody's paid to do their job. You get play, you get signed. My job is to come in there and do my job, and I have my opportunity to do it. We've all had the opportunity, and when we had our chance to come in and do our job, we did our job well, and the person whose job it used to be no longer got their job. That should be the way everybody's mindset is when you come into this league. So if I get a lineman down, I'm the next lineman up. I should be that guy. That guy should never get that position back, ever. Whoever place I just took, they should never get that position back, because now I'm the guy, and I have to think that way.
And you know, I like that, because you know what was shown on Sunday? All those guys that play one game and get hurt, and then they're out again, they're showing them that we can win without you, and a good team does that. So now, do we have the running backs to get the job done?
Well, before we get into the running backs, what G just said, I don't think guys have that mentality anymore. Everyone is cool with being second, third, or fourth. Like, okay, I'm cool, I'm second string, I'll be around for a while. Like, no one really wants to. You don't have the guys that wanted that when I step on the field, I'm the baddest man on this field. Not at the running back position, at every
Period.
position. When I look across, I don't care who it is. That was my attitude. And you got to prove to me that I'm not the baddest man on the field. You hit me, I'm going to hit you back. You know what I mean? We just going to battle the entire game. When you look at these running backs, with all this negativity, at this point, someone should take over, you know, and I think Chris Thompson is doing an outstanding job in his role, but you got to get him in space. You got to get him the ball. You can't just turn around and hand it to him. He's doing a great job, but you still need another guy. You look at Perrine, you look at Fat Rob, I think you really just lost the running back who could have created on his own, and Mac Brown. You let him go because Perrine was drafted and you want to put him on the field. So these guys, to me, just don't have that mentality. They don't have the attitude to go out and say, I'm the baddest man on this field and I'm going to prove it. And you look at Kirk and people say, well, get rid of Kirk Cousins. You get rid of Kirk Cousins, who you going to want to get rid of next? Because everyone's going to have to go. It's going to be Kirk Cousins, Jay Grew,
Right.
Whoever, Bruce. Everybody going to be out of here the moment you lose Kirk because you don't have a roster of guys that can go out and take over. You know, Jordan Reed is Jordan Reed. It happened with Kirk Cousins because he got him the ball. You look around, D-Jack, Pierre Garçon, some of the tougher players you had, they didn't succeed here because our offense don't allow you to go out and be Gary Clark or Santana Moss. They're not going to feed a guy that gets hot. Our guys don't have the same attitude. I always said, if I had daughters, I'm pulling up at the Redskins, and we're going to find one of these guys that's coming out, baby. He's a good dude. You don't have to worry about it. He's coming home every night because those are the players. Sometimes you need jerks. You need that. This is football. Everyone can't be.
I like that.
Yeah,
And you gotta have
can't
that
be
attitude.
nice.
And you know, we're about to take a break right now, and Clinton said a lot of good things. And one thing he said, he was the baddest man on the field. That's the same thing I was trying to tell Coach Gibbs when he gave me an apple on the roadmap and told me I wasn't on the team. We'll be back in a moment.
You know, to know that you can put in all the work possible through the course of the week, not be at your best, you know, as far as, you know, just not being, you know, not having everybody healthy, and still come out and fight. You know, hopefully this shows this team the potential we have. And, you know, we've never wavered in knowing how good a team we were. We just have to be consistent to do it week in and week out, play after play, series after series, and not be fazed by anything else, whether it's giving up a play, making a turnover.
Yeah, I just saved a whole lot of money by switching to Geico.
Huh. We should take a closer look at Geico.
You know, Geico insures way more than cars, boats, motorcycles, even RVs.
Geico insures RVs? What's an RV?
The thing we've been stuck on for 5 years.
Wait, I'm not a real moose?
We've been over this, Jeff.
We're stickers.
I'm not a real moose.
Give him some space.
Deep breaths, Jeff.
What's a sticker?
Take a closer look at Geico. Great savings and a whole lot more.
Mike's voice for change. I don't know, guys. That could have been a 4 right there. I don't know. DC may have been a little louder. But speaking of DC and talking about offense, that was a good segue, wasn't it?
Tell them why they're cheering. You got to let the fans know why everyone here
I
is
told
cheering.
them about the competition already.
Well, Garrett just flashed us.
Oh! I missed that one.
Somebody, we had a
okay,
now cheering. I wanted cheering.
Okay. Gary just did that. Can I hear the cheer for that? Welcome back to the show. Before we get out of the offensive segment, we always try to get some of the fans' questions. I know Gary doesn't like, but Donna Hopkins have a couple of questions for us.
I sure do, Tony. I'm over here with the #1 team over here in the corner. And I just want to talk a little bit about the offense myself. They gave up 6 sacks on Kirk Cousins, but this was a knockout, drag-out, heavyweight boxing match down to the end. Kirk Cousins, you all didn't mention Brian Quick. This is a guy that came in for Jordan Reed, caught 3 passes that were thrown to him, one big one down the stretch for that touchdown, and then Josh Doxson, one play later, Big Rob takes it in for a touchdown. So Kirk Cousins heads up because he took a beating and he hung in there. Now, a question for the panel.
Clint, you kind of hit it on the head. You too, Santana. My biggest concern is the mentality of these young players. It seems like all they want to do is play for money. They don't play with heart. And you mentioned the running back squad. It seems like no one wants to play like you did, like Alfred, like Riggins. Nobody wants to play like that anymore. From behind the scenes, what do you think the biggest mental roadblock is when it comes to the running back core, and how can that be solved? Because you can't teach heart.
Well, that's the #1 thing. You can't teach heart. Kids are raised differently now. Even if you talk to people, students of the game are missing. You know, today's generation don't know Gary Clark. They don't know much about what it took to be. I mean, it took heart. It took the competitiveness. You get heart from playing pickup, Pop Warner in the yard with people that's bigger than you. You don't do that anymore. Everybody else, I mean, everyone plays in the house, play video games now.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, your competitive edge, people can't even crack jokes anymore. Like, you can't take it. You used to go out and have to play throw-up tackle. You want to get the ball, the little fat kid keep getting the ball. You can't tackle
Oh,
him.
man, no question.
You got to be the fastest.
I was that fat kid. I know what you're talking about.
That's what I'm saying. And
every time I got
you
the
a
ball,
fat
I
and
scored.
nobody can tackle you. You talking about, it's my ball, I'm going home. We can't play if we don't let you get the ball. So you don't have that competition anymore. So now guys are just like, they don't have that hunger.
And you know, the thing about it is not just this team, it's every team. I don't know if it's because of the way the collective bargaining have really created that. With now they don't have to hit during training camp. They don't have to do this. They don't have to.
Timeout.
That's what it is.
Timeout in the house, so when it starts as a little kid, they put you in timeout.
Yeah, right.
They don't spank your butt anymore. That's the problem.
A-whipping.
Timeout.
No,
Go sit in the corner and play with your imaginary friend. That really hurts me.
I couldn't even play with my imaginary friend after the
question.
whoop. I'm over there like this.
Wait a minute. And you know what? Remember when you were young, during the middle of the day, you played so much you had to come in and take a nap. They don't even know about it now. And now these new football players, if they get a hangnail, they can't play. If they get this, but they always in there. They should back in to get the checks.
You're absolutely right, but then you got to also understand too. A lot of these kids now, like Porter just said, you know, they don't have that same background of us. You know, we was out there with our uncles. You know, I remember I lost 2 teeth playing football, learning football. My uncle said, "We're gonna play throw-up tackle. I'm gonna teach you the game." He threw it up, and next thing you know, I'm on my back. And 2 teeth was out, you know. But a lot of these kids now, they come up in high school. Guess what? I'm not starting that. All right, I'm gonna change schools. You know, I remember I told my dad in 9th grade, "Hey, this school ain't throwing the ball, so I need to go somewhere else." He said, "No, you make them throw you the ball." So kids don't have that parent or have that support system that's gonna make them earn their spot, earn their keep. And a lot of these guys just change schools until they get a chance and say, okay, I'm over here now I can play. And then you see them carry on into the NFL, and you wonder why we don't have those guys out there that's fighting for jobs.
But isn't that the way they do everything now? Is every position, and if you're not right for this position, you can do this. I look at guys on our team right now, and they play quarterback at a time. And every now and then when that ball come over the middle, they showed that they were quarterbacks.
No doubt.
So, you know, when we played, everybody played every position.
It's kind of entitlement. Like, guys feel like, and that's the way people grow up. Like, right now, you got the next Max Scherzer. You got the next John Wall. I had no idea. I played cornerback. Yeah, I played DB. I played wide receiver, couldn't catch a cold. The coach all of a sudden decided, you know what, since you can't catch it, you're fast enough, you can run with it. And
let's put it in your hand from the beginning.
He moved me to running back my junior year in high school. Guys kind of grow up in Pop Warner, Pee Wee flag, high school, and they're in the same position, right side, left side. They don't know how to change. They don't know, like if you move a guy from the right side or receiver from the right side to the left side now, he's out of place. He's not a part of the game. You jam receivers. It's no fight left in him. Like, it's no fight at all. I could think of plenty of times, maybe you all as fans didn't notice, I got in fights for Santana, not me. It was, I hear Tanner arguing, so I jump in. You know what, Tanner? You stay in the game. I'll get him. You know, and that's just the way it was, but that's one to say, I want to protect my teammates. You don't see that anymore. You don't see it. And I mean, it's missing in sports.
That's so true, Clinton. You know what? For you fans out there, you listen to what these young players are talking. I'm an older player, but I know one thing, and Gary, he's not as old as me. Matter of fact, he may be 30 years younger than me. But at the same time, when our offense was out on the field, we always stood up as a defense and watched
To watch it.
When our defense was out on the field, the offense stood. I watched now, and guys are on the bench and doing dances and drinking water and all that. We weren't allowed to get water. And when I was playing, I folded up my helmet and put it in my back pocket and went out on the field and worked. We're gonna get another question from Donna right now. Folded it up. They don't know what that means. Y'all get that when you get home. Donna, give us another question.
Yeah, Tony, Gary, I know you were in timeout quite a bit, and you look like you're still in timeout up there on the set. But you know, the Redskins had to play a tough defense with Seattle. This coming week, they've got to play Minnesota. Minnesota has probably the #1 defense in the NFL. But here is Chris to ask the panel a question.
Yes, so you guys were talking about just really with the run game lacking and you're running the shotgun more often and issues with the offensive line. Really, you just kind of got to play with the hand that you're dealt. Do you see an update possibly coming with the offense and how it runs to see if you're able to play better with what you're running with now?
I see you up on this stage pretty soon. He said, well, yeah, since you guys, I mean, this guy is good. Hey, can we get some new personnel up here? But now, what do you guys see with that? And Donna made a good point first. Minnesota has a very good defense, and we know we've adjusted a lot of things. So what do you see have to happen now?
Well, I mean, you look at the offense. You're gonna start to get guys back. And Secchi should be back soon. Sheriff should be back. Jordan Reed should be back. So that's 3 key players. Hopefully Trent can get back on the field sometime really soon. Once you get those guys back, that's pretty much everyone that you're missing. You know, so the left guard, center really hadn't done much this year anyway. So you're really not missing them in this situation. But you look at Minnesota, Seattle. All of these teams got great defenses, but offensively they struggle as well. They're just like us. So it's going to be a defensive battle. It's just going to come down. They give up 17 points a game. If we can score 17 and they score 16, we come out with a win.
We should win. And you know the one thing, and I think another question that we have and what this young man wanted to know, if we're successful when speaking to the Washington Redskins, because ain't none of us hit nobody in this while, but if we're successful, the Washington Redskins, when these people come back, do you change back to the old way, or do you continue doing what you were doing while they were out?
I think it depends on how successful you are. Like different players at a position, if they're doing their job and they're doing extremely well, football also is a superstitious game. Typically, you're not going to change what's working for you if it's working. It has to be working, though. If it's not working, then you'll substitute it in a heartbeat. But if it's working, you don't mess with a working ship. You leave it alone, in my opinion.
And one of the things I've been seeing, just watching it, you know, I don't think Jay have changed anything. Because I'm time and time again, I'm like, why are we dropping back that deep, knowing that we don't have the guys up front to protect? So I think one of the things about Jay, he's always been stubborn. You know, if you watch him, you know, he was stubborn when it came to Dotson. Well, I'm not going to give him the play time because you all want him to play. You know, he still haven't showed me nothing. He's stubborn with how he do things. He knows what he wants to do, and he does it well, and he's going to call it well. So just like, G said earlier, it's the next guy up. So regardless of, who we have in here subbing, we're going to run our offense. And I think they haven't really, detoured off of what they've been doing, early in the season. They're doing the same things. We just haven't had that much production out of it.
So when we come back, we'll talk about the part of the team or the facet or the great part of the team that really won the game for them on Sunday. None of these guys have any idea about that because they're offensive players. It was the defense. Now, when we come out, I'm going to see, wait a minute, Mike. See, Mike Baker got out of hand there because I want to say we want to come out and make sure we don't have a 3 on this chair when we come out. So let's hear it from you guys now.
Coney Island has been around for a long, long time. Reminds me of how Geico has been saving people money for over 75 years.
First date? Hey, big guy, come on in. Let me guess your weight. Win a prize.
Sure, why not?
12 ounces?
Sorry, mate, 4 ounces. I've been taking the stairs lately.
You win, big guy.
Sorry. Excuse me.
Wow, he looks so much more real on TV.
Yeah. Over 75 years of savings and service. Get your rate quote today.
Welcome back, G. It gets stronger every time. I'm gonna tell you.
That's why I keep flashing.
G must be flashing when we not looking.
In a minute, he gonna be here naked.
Right. We're gonna look around. He gonna be running around the room. Let's talk about, and we're going to down in a few minutes, but you guys are 3 offensive players, and I know you appreciate it because every team I remember the 3 of you being on, you had some defensive players that really set the tone for the game in a lot of ways. Now, if you take a look at this defense, it hasn't been all smooth, but overall, each and every game, they seem to be improving in their craft. They may make mistakes like in the Kansas City game, whereas they jumped offside 4 times and they lost containment. In the Philadelphia game, they lost a little containment. You see a little less of that. Now I'm seeing some constant pressure. I'm seeing defensive backs making plays, and I'm seeing D'Angelo Hall on the field for the first time. And who makes the big play at the end of the game? Number 23.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. Long overdue. Glad to see him back. 100%.
Well, it all starts, too, and I didn't mean to cut you off, G. It all starts up front. And when you have a linebacker, back when we was playing for the Skins, we all remember London Fletcher. And we've been missing a guy like that for a while. And we also been missing a great safety for a while, since Sean Taylor. But it starts with Zach Brown setting the tone. He sets the tone. We had 2 guys up front, Ioannidis and Jay Allen, that was stuffing the inside and allowing those guys, Kerrigan and P. Smith, to go ape crap on the outsides. But and I want to say something else. I didn't say it. But with those guys up front, 7 seconds. Our front 7 alone has been setting the tone all season long. And then when you have the secondary, you have Swearinger out there leading those guys, being the quarterback of that secondary. But when you have a guy like Jay No, and I'm glad to see him back, he's one of those presents that, think about yesterday, that 3rd and 1, if he don't make that stop, it's a different ball game. So we have so many key guys now in different spots on that defense, and that's what's allowing them guys to go out there and be so, dominant because we can look at every position and you can find a dominant guy back there that's setting the tone.
Did you know that Brown holds the 55 indoor record when he was at North?
I just found that out.
Yeah, but that's at North Carolina. We would have burnt the brakes off of him.
Oh man, come on, man.
We would have ate him up.
He wouldn't have stood a chance, though.
If they were in the Big East or we would have been in the same conference, man, we would have ate him up.
Well, I went to Bishop College. Y'all need to know that we'd have ate all of y'all up. Let's go for another question right here, Donna. Who do you have, Donna?
Well, Tony, let me talk about this first. Santana, you made Tony's heart happy because you talked about the pressure up front. But let's talk about D'Angelo Hall, who had not played since the third week of 2016. But he also was returning punts against Seattle, something that he hadn't done since 2012. But, Tony, the Redskins defense did give up 427 yards. That's a lot. And also Russell Wilson is Russell Wilson, so I can't take nothing away from him. But the defense pressure was the key in that game against Seattle. And it was like a fight to the bitter end. They came, and Greg Newski is doing a great job with that team. And we've got Musa for a question for the panel.
All right, guys. I know you guys are offensive players, but this question here is about the
Okay, but not Tony. Tony's defense.
You don't consider me a player.
It was only 13 teams back then, Tony.
It was only about 12 teams or so you know.
Tony, you was before my time. You was before my time.
I was before most people in here's time.
but seriously, I just wanted to get you guys' take on Anthony Lanier. I know he's not a household name. He's an undrafted free agent 2 years back, but he had a lot of pressure up the middle. I know we're missing, Jonathan Allen and Matt Ioannidis, but what's your take on Anthony Lanier and his future moving forward?
Saw a lot of good things with him, and what we have not had is that pressure up the middle, and he brings that. He has very good feet, he has lateral movement, and at the same time, he's always going forward. When you look at a game and you see a defensive lineman, guys, and then you that watch a game from henceforth, if you see a defensive lineman come off the ball, if he does two things, if he stands up, he's dead, and if his feet stop doing a pass rush, there's no win there. So you look at these guys they got now, they keep moving their feet, they keep penetrating the other side of the ball. So I look at them as being some pretty good players. And in the future, I think he's going to be a top player. And that's what happened. Injury creates opportunity.
Well, these are the kind of players you want. Alabama A&M, you're not entitled to anything when you come out of Alabama A&M. So he's a hungry guy. The thing I want to see out of this D-line is the redirect. The initial rush is always great, but the redirect has been, it's like, if you look at Kerrigan, his feet stop. The moment he has to change directions, his feet stop.
And
Preston Smith.
You lose that game.
Yeah, that's how you ended up in the situation. It happened numerous times against the Eagles. But this D-line, I mean, you gotta give the credit to the D coordinator because he's not too gapping. These guys are getting upfield. Your linebacking core, the addition of Will Compton, I mean, it's great because he's a great energy. D Hall, you look at that secondary, the secondary is really healthy and the communication is better. You don't have to worry about Josh Norman's side. You already know you don't have to worry about Josh Norman's side. You look at Breland, he's playing great. He's probably the MVP of this defense at the moment, unless you give it to Zach Brown. So you got guys that's in position. You can't take another hit on the D-line at all. You've lost 4 guys that you were expecting to be major
I've been working out, Clinton.
Stay. I hate to have to do this interview with you like this.
Wait a minute. I was working out and I ran a sprint in my sleep and pulled my muscle. Woke up, had to put ice on it that morning. But you're right. You can't take another hit on that. But you said something that's key, and I really appreciate that because if you notice, Gary Clark never say anything with his defense. He always thinks,
I'll take a nap. I'll take a nap during that section.
And so you said it. When a defensive lineman stops his feet, and I've seen that with Kerrigan quite a bit, he cannot get them back started, and that's why they lose containment. You have to keep those feet moving all the time. And when you're on the outside, for all you fans out there, the one thing I want to make my offensive tackle do is turn his hips to the sideline, because when he turns them to the sideline, a defensive lineman can do anything he wants. We got another question here. I think Donna had. Now, don't give us a lecture, Donna. You had to come up and tell us how many yards the defense gave up. You know, why you always throwing people under the bus? Just tell us about what they did well.
Tony, I have to tell it all. I mean, you just want me to tell part of it, but they have to understand the whole process. But Fuller came up with a big interception, and Will Compton came in and played for Foster, who's out injured, and had an interception. And they had like 3 that they possibly could have had, but they had a lot of bet down balls that created some great things. But this is back to the offensive side of the ball that they want to talk about.
Well, first, let me say thanks for coming out to Geico. We love having y'all, and we love the Redskins. All right, my question is going to be, our leading receiver and rusher is Chris Thompson. Why isn't he getting the ball more? You know, he's a playmaker, and in order to, you know, have those, you know, big plays, you need your playmaker on the field, and he's just not getting the ball. And now Fat Rob's great, but use him as a third down back, and let's give Chris Thompson the ball more. Is there something you'll see in his game as far as blitz pickup or blocking that he's not getting done right? I mean, I'm sitting at home, I just don't understand it.
No, the coach said yesterday that he was one of the best blitz pickups they got. He's just a small player, but you guys tell me why you think. If it were I'd have him out there every play, but see, I'm not a coach. But he does make the plays.
Well, he's not an every down back, and at some point, why it didn't happen sooner, a defensive coordinator realized this is your weapon. This is who you want to give the ball to, so you start spying on Chris Thompson, knowing they're not going to line him up in I formation or give him the ball out of the backfield, so you start expecting Chris Thompson to get the ball. I mean, you saw on the screen when they split him out, the linebacker never turned his head. He looked, okay, I know what play this is, and he went straight to Chris. So once defenses start game planning to take him out of the game, because you're throwing passes and trying to get him the ball in space, it's easier to cover him. They're chipping him coming out of the backfield so he don't get out in the route.
Well, you know what? We got to take a break now. We went 59 seconds over. Clinton, you cost me a lot of money. So let's take a break right now. And we'll be back in a moment to talk about the next opponent and the East. We'll be back in a moment.
It takes hard work, grit, and determination to become a professional football player like Luke Kuechly. But it only takes 15 minutes to see how much you could save on car insurance with Geico.
Welcome back, and you know we were talking about how great it was for the Washington Redskins to win last week, but they have a tough game coming up with the Vikings, and we don't want to get by ourselves and think about Seattle. So if you look at the games coming up right now, the Vikings is the #1 game right now. They got a little problem with quarterback guys, as you know, but before I get to you guys, I'm going to get a couple of questions, because you know Donna always has to write a book, and you know every time she comes out, she's going to find something to say bad about the Vikings. So if we go to a question for Donna, you know what you're going to hear. Okay,
Tony, I'm not saying anything bad, but you know the Vikings are at 6-2 coming to town. Teddy Bridgewater is coming off of injury. He's not supposed to be playing. But, you know, the panel wants to know, Ken, a little bit about the defense, offense questions for you all. And I have my friend here also wanting to ask a question.
Yeah, Minnesota's coming off a bye, and I know teams tend to come off rusty sometimes. I'm hoping they do. Coming off that bye, and I'm hoping we can pull off a victory on that. When you all came off of the bye week, what did y'all do to keep from being rusty?
Well, after I sobered up, I would I would go out and practice and lift some weights, get in the steam room or something like that, smoke a couple of cigars. No, I'm just playing. What would you guys do after the bye week?
Well, it was all mental, honestly. I've enjoyed a lot of my bye weeks, and that was hilarious because normally we have to sober up. But I was one of those guys that I took the family out of town.
Come on, man.
I took the family out of town and always enjoyed my bye week. But I think mentally, man, as players, some guys have it mentally, some guys don't. One of the things that I took pride in is always being ready, knowing that, you have to separate your bye from your bye to now it's time to get back to work. I've always, now I can't just sit here and just, lie, but I've always came back off the bye ready to work. Now, collectively as a team, did we go out there and show that? I can't say that, but I recall one bye week that stands out the most, 2012. We had RG3 that year, and I remember Coach Shanahan saying that it's going to take a play or a player to make a play in this particular game that's going to put the bye behind us. And we was playing the Philadelphia Eagles, and I remember it was my only catch that game. I caught a ball over two guys, and not to think that I was going to be the guy that he was talking about, but that ended up being the play that set the tone for that game, and we actually put that bye behind us and went out there and put a pretty good whipping on the Philadelphia Eagles. So it's going to be that way for us to go out there and show those guys that, that keep enjoying their bye and go out there and take it to them from the start.
And the older you get, that bye is really good for you because you need that rest. You need that. It's only 1 week, but it gives you a time to heal. You younger players, you be taking your family out and y'all be going and stuff. Shoot, we spend most of our time in the bed, in the hot tub, or doing something like in some ice. I mean, by the time we come back, we can walk a little bit without a limp, feel like it's a new day. I tell you, that bye week is big. What you do, mentally have to get back. Donna, you have another question for us? And please, I don't want to hear 6 and 2. We didn't ask. That's too much information. We don't care. We just want them to be 6 and 3 when they leave here. Donna?
Well, can I just say something about the importance of special teams coming up? The Redskins are depleted. Jamison Crowder was out. He's supposed to be back this week. And then you had Rob Kelly and Samaji returning kickoffs and D'Angelo Hall punts. So special teams is a key. Ask Seattle, who missed 3 field goals. Got a question for the panel.
Hi, my name is Emily. I was actually really excited to hear about you talking about passion a little bit earlier from the players. And I was wondering, we are kind of in Virginia. We're Hokie Nation. I don't know who else here is alumni, Hokie Nation. But I was wondering if you could tell me your take on Josh Jackson, because as a first-year freshman quarterback, I'd like to hear your opinion. So it's not a Redskin question, but it is football. So.
Well, I really feel bad for Hokie Nation after Saturday night's game,
All 3 of them was out in the audience. You feel kind of bad for them?
Yeah, I feel bad for them. You can tell they're still there. I mean, I'm surprised you came to work today. I wouldn't have shown my face on. But I guess you knew it was some hurricanes in the building, so thanks for coming. Just the passion, having passion in Josh Doxson. You know what? Actually, I see the change in him because his rookie year, he wasn't around. He wasn't involved. You could tell he was alone. This year, you got players. You can see the confidence in his teammates. And this goes back to training camp. I remember standing on the field talking to D. Hall, and he was raving about how good of a training camp Doxson had. And now that he's getting an opportunity, we get to see why they drafted him. Because last year, you're like, well, we wasted a pick. This year, early on, you felt the same way. Now, all of a sudden, you're like, oh, this is our man. But he made these same plays constantly, week in, week out, at TCU, not VTech. At TCU, he made these plays. So, he's a playmaker, and it's just about really getting comfortable and getting healthy. That's the next thing.
I tell you what, and he has shown that he can play. And then, as you know, you got a lot of good games coming up, but right now he has to do it, and I think that's what the Coach Gruden wants to see consistently. And this team has to be consistent. It can't be this back and forth. It has to be that the offense, the defense, and the special team. I'm glad Donna mentioned that. Special teams is going to be important now. I mean, you got Niles Pollard out, who is one of your top players. You got Crowder. You got people out right now. And special teams is a really important facet.
Another opportunity for somebody to come out and make their statement, make their brand as a special team player. I mean, because if you make your brand as a special team player, guess what? You become that featured player on special teams. So,
you know, when we get ready to go out, Mike, can you ever get a shot on that big ring on Gary's finger?
Just a pinky ring.
We want to send that into the Redskins locker room and let them see what it's about. But at the same time, you know, you have to look at the NFC, and we got about a minute here. The NFC, other than Philadelphia, is still close. So it's Washington that's played game by game. Philadelphia, even
They're
though
fighting
they're
for second place.
yeah, but maybe they may get on a bad road. If you remember last year, I think they were something like.
No, they didn't look like they looked this year. We're fighting for second. I don't even. Yeah, I can't even get into playing that game with you. Oh yeah, we got a chance. No, we don't. The Eagles look great right now, and we're 0-3 in the division. But who cares? Get into the playoffs.
Still have to play the Cowboys again. You have the Giants twice, so we still have a chance to, to fight for that second place. It's kind of hard to sit here and say you want to fight for second place, but it is what it is. But our opportunity is still out there.
Get to the playoffs. That's the most important part, period.
Get to the playoffs, and I'm going to wash my mouth off with soap, talking about fighting for second place.
That's why I
what
said
is this
get to
world
the
coming
playoffs.
to? We'll be back in the moment. Second place.
Yeah, I just saved a whole lot of money by switching to Geico.
Huh. We should take a closer look at Geico.
You know, Geico insures way more than cars, boats, motorcycles, even RVs.
Geico insures RVs? What's an RV?
The thing we've been stuck on for 5 years.
Wait, I'm not a real moose?
We've been over this, Jeff.
We're stickers.
I'm not a real moose.
Give him some space.
Deep breaths, Jeff.
What's a sticker?
Take a closer look at Geico. Great savings and a whole lot more.
Welcome to this week's Sports Bar Challenge. This week's game, we have the Denver Broncos hosting the New England Patriots on Sunday Night Football. Crystal City Restaurant likes the Patriots. Crystal City Sports Pub likes the Broncos. Hard Times likes the Patriots. Greavy's likes the Broncos. Outback likes the Patriots. And Harry's Ale House likes the Patriots. Look for this to be a very physical game between two incredible defenses, but I take New England on the road. Pick the Patriots in a blowout.
Ah, the Ravens, never fleeting, still are winning, still are winning. But when the pests come knocking at your door, and the bees that bumble sound like the roar of the stadium's rumble, and you see the ants and roaches creeping and crawling as the moonlight hits the floor, have no fear, for PMSI will rid you of those pests to scamper and scatter on your floor. Once they treat, nevermore.
I open this segment of What's Bugging You by What's Bugging Me. Now, we had a memo around the office that we all were going to wear the same clothes for this segment for 3 weeks. Someone on the set, and you mentioned make your guess, did not get the memo. One person, and he always stand out, the G. Gary.
It's called dry cleaner. I saw him go to say dry cleaners.
That got to do with anything.
I can see the guys doing it, but ladies, hey, that's a little different.
Well, we'll find out, though, what's bugging the individuals around the NFL. Once again, we got Patty from PMSI. Patty, what's new this week? What's bugging the fans?
Well, thanks for having me on the show again. And I want to talk about what's bugging you. Of course, I don't have my creatures today, but we do have Ian Scott here who's going to talk about what's bugging him.
Thanks, Patty. What's bugging me is why the Dolphins brought in Jay Cutler, who doesn't seem like he wants to play when they have a valuable veteran quarterback with Matt Moore. That's what's bugging me.
You know, and I kind of agree. they brought Cutler back, and Cutler clearly did not want to play. I think his wife kind of convinced him to play, and then that large contract. But, his last few years, if you think about it in Chicago, they weren't that productive. He was a coach killer. Let's be real.
Wow.
And there was other quarterbacks out there available.
Yeah, Kaepernick. I'd like to see him. They were thinking about bringing him back, but and he's supposed to go here, there. But I would love to have seen him go back. And now Miami, who has a pretty good team, they're running into a problem because of the quarterback situation. But they got the players around them. They got a good running game. They got a good defense. So they need to just take note and see what they need to do and stick with it.
It's not too late to sign up Kaepernick.
You heard that from Donna Hopkins. All her opinions are not the opinions of the show. We'll be back in a moment.
Hey, Tony, what's up? What a great win in Seattle for the Redskins last week. But I do have to point out 3 key numbers in that game. Number 1, the Seahawks were missing one key player, Earl Thomas, their all-pro safety. Come on, that doesn't happen if he's back there. The number 3, the Seahawks missed 3 field goals? How does that happen in Seattle? And how does this happen? The Seahawks had 16 penalties. That's how Washington won, plus the fact that they had Kirk Cousins. Got to give it to Kirk. He is clutch. And if I'm the Redskins, I sign this guy not as a franchise player, but as our quarterback for the future. Now, the good news and bad news this week. The good news, you get a dome team outdoors, the Minnesota Vikings. You should be able to win that. The bad news, you're still doing this. You're looking up at the Dallas Cowboys and Philadelphia Eagles. Talk to you next week.
Hey, Tony, my partner in crime has a question for you. Defense, he wants to know about the defense. You got Minnesota coming in here with the #1 defense. You played on some great defenses before. How do you combat the defense like that offensively?
Well, first of all, some good defense played with me. And
Leave that alone.
Well, okay, let me tell my story right now, and I'll get applause. I know we got 3 minutes, but when I came to the Washington Redskins, they were 8-8 before. We went to the Super Bowl. My second year, we went to the Super Bowl. My third year, we won the division. They got rid of me, and they didn't go to the playoffs. Who do y'all think was important?
Tony McGee.
No, let's talk about defense, though. And the Vikings, that's the one thing sustaining them right now. They have a decent offense. A running back, he's been, I don't think he's the running back right now. He's hurt, and so their whole system, the quarterback has been hurt. We knew Bradshaw was that. So you look at both of the defenses in this game, and whichever defense performs the best will win this game. And right now, my money is on the Redskins defense.
I don't talk defense. You let these 2 young men talk about defense.
I mean, I totally agree. When you look at the offense, they lost Cook, they lost the quarterback. They're hit by the injury bug as well, offensively. Defensively, they have a stout defense. When you look at Everson Griffin, you look at Rhodes as a corner, a lockdown corner, it's just like having Josh Norman. So they have a stout defense. Their secondary is just like our secondary. Big playmakers back there with Smith and what's the kid name from Notre Dame, whoever. But
yeah, he gonna call him toast.
Yeah,
he gonna get burnt.
Toasted. So they got a stout defense.
You receivers know I'm talking about burnt, don't you?
Doubt.
No question.
No doubt.
But Clinton, we got a minute here. What do they need to do to beat this team?
Come out and score points. You can't give up. You can't give up anything defensively, but you need to score points. We got to continue to have success in the red zone as we did last week in Seattle. So you have success in the red zone, you win this game.
Gary.
Score 17 points or more. Give up less than 17 points or less.
Santana.
Get after the quarterback on the defensive side. We need to see some turnovers again, and like Clinton said, you have to score points. Take advantage of red zone opportunities.
And that defense got to play the way they played. Stop with the mistakes and just go for it. Don't worry about the past, just worry about the future. We want to thank you for having us here at the Geico headquarters here in Fredericksburg. We want to thank all our crew, but we want to thank you fans. And when I get out of this, I never say goodbye. I always say, in a minute.
I'll have the langoustine lobster ravioli.
For you, sir? The original call was for langoustine ravioli. Langoustine is a tiny kind of lobster. Slight shellfish allergy rules that out. Plus, my wife ordered the langoustine. I will have chicken tenders and tater tots.
If you're a ref, you way over-explain things. It's what you do. If you want to save 15% or more on car insurance, you switch to Geico.
Sir, we don't have tater tots.
It's what you do.
I will have nachos.